Midday Report, Episode 3. Welcome back to the Midday Report for our third edition. Today, we are going to be going over a few things, including our Preds predictions for the season and a couple mental health stories with DeMar DeRozan and Alex Smith, and then Titans free agency frenzy along with the draft. And then we got a bonus quiz for you guys at the very end. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Alex, would you like to start us off with the Preds predictions?
Sure. So, last time we fell off, we were talking about what the Predators should do at this point in the season. Should we sell, or should we try and keep going and keep the season alive? Now, again, we were already talking about Matthias Ekholm at the top of the trade bait list, but there were more down on that trade bait list. There was also Mikael Granlund, who we gave, I think, a low cap bid about probably like a little less than $4 million to come back this season.
Yeah.
And there's been a few teams that have been linked to him, mainly Toronto, because they're obviously looking to buy when the deadline does hit us.
Oh, for sure.
He could be an easy guy to put on that second line. So we could sell him. They're saying to sell Erik Haula with him on a 1-year deal. Maybe get like a third or fourth rounder for him. And, just they're putting us like near the top of the list for a lot of these because they pretty much expect us to punt the season.
Definitely. I mean, I don't disagree with them at all. I could definitely see a few of these moves happening, and I don't know. I feel like the Preds, knowing the Preds are going to try to make the playoffs. They're going to try to make some sort of effort to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Poyle's very big on rebuilding.
No, not at all.
I feel like, I really hate saying this, but that cup final that we made may be one of the worst things to happen to this franchise.
It's all been downhill.
It made him feel like he had to go all in, sign all these free agents, give away these draft picks. I mean, a first rounder for Ryan Hartman? Come on. Like, I just don't know what to think right now. But I'm going to say you've already done damage, so keep going. If things get too bad, then just sell at the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy way to go, but it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Especially this year with all the restrictions on COVID, like you got to quarantine after you get traded and stuff.
Well, that's if you get traded out of the country with the border being sealed between the U.S. and Canada.
That's true, but we're talking about like Toronto involved in these trades and stuff, and it's just a bunch of mayhem with all this garbage disease and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I think people are starting to get over it, though. I mean...
Well, the governments clearly aren't.
Well, it depends. I guess it all comes down to what area you live in.
Yeah.
A lot of restaurants, some of them don't require them anymore. And, stuff that was canceled last year is starting to come back,
Yeah, you're starting to see places open up for, like, sporting events and stuff. And I heard in Texas even, now they're wanting to do a baseball game full fans.
Yes.
And I'm all for it. I thought it was an amazing idea.
Yeah, I mean, people getting vaccinated, people aren't contracting it as much. I think cases are starting to go down. And progress is starting to be made.
Absolutely. I think it's a great way for our country to progress.
Yes.
Okay, and let's move on to DeMar DeRozan, another guy who has openly talked about his struggle with mental health. And he had a quote that stuck out to me greatly. Here, let me pull it up. It just brought to my attention how much this was, how important this was. Here he says, it's one of the things no matter how indestructible we look like, we are all human at the end of the day. We all got feelings, all of it, all of them. Sometimes it gets the best of you, whereas times in the world are on top of you. He says, I have various nights. I've always been like this since I was young, but I think that's where my demeanor comes from. I'm so quiet if you don't know me. I stay standoffish in a sense, in my own personal space, to be able to cope with whatever it is I have going on with me. And so it's just thought to me, like, someone could be perfectly fine, appear perfectly fine, and then you look at them, and then but like, you don't know anything about them, right?
Yeah.
And then they might be like drowning in a bunch of problems. Like, you just never know. It's crazy with like how these things go on. It just amazes me.
Like I said before, you never know what goes on behind closed doors, but that quote can really apply to pretty much anyone.
Exactly.
Like, he clearly something definitely went on that the media or just probably not even his personal friends didn't know about. But, the fact that he said something and the fact that he put that out there, that takes guts to do, but it'll help you in the long run.
Absolutely. And now we're moving on to another guy in Alex Smith.
Now, Smith everybody knows the story with him by now. The snapped leg his first concern wasn't even on playing again. It was just on walking again.
Like, he could have lost his leg.
Like, that was, what was it? Was it life-threatening? I think it was.
Yeah, with all, like, he could have, like, caught, like, some sort of disease and had his leg amputated.
Like a blood clot or just all this stuff. And he's truly brave just for going through all that.
Absolutely.
He had, like, a double-digit number of surgeries to get through it.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't play all of 2019. He came back in 2020 he came back to Washington as a third string. But, they didn't manage their quarterbacks very well, so he ended up playing. But honestly, seeing him back on the field was like seeing an old friend after 5 years,
Yeah.
Just seeing him okay just brought relief for everybody. And he inspired many, Even when Dak Prescott went down earlier in the year, the first thing he said to the media was seeing that Alex Smith went through, 13 of those surgeries.
Yeah.
And he just had to go through one. That helped him get through it.
Like, he saw, like, somebody's come up with something way worse than me, and they've been able to come back.
So he's already inspired another NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Not only that, but from his division.
Yeah, and it's just like, and I think he reached out to Alex Smith, like, to be like, what got you through this, and yeah, what pulled you through these times.
Yeah, and it's truly inspiring to see him get through it. Right now, it's off season. I don't know what the deal's going to be with him. If he's going to be their starter next year, or if he's just going to stay a backup, if he'll leave. I don't know what's going to happen to him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't. You cut out for a second. Could you repeat that?
Oh, sorry. It's just, I don't know what's going to happen to him this offseason. Is he going to stay in Washington? Is he going to be their starter next year?
I mean, he's 36 now, so I could see him probably retiring, most likely.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's still got a good bit left in the tank, though, surprisingly.
Yeah. I don't know. I could see him just. He doesn't. I don't see him as a guy that could go on much longer. So I'd say he just ends up retiring.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good way to go off. Just riding off into the sunset with that comeback story and everything. They've honestly thrown around the idea of naming the Comeback Player of the Year award after him, which I'm all for.
Oh, I would be too.
And thousands of people just by that one action.
Yeah.
Going from his life on the line to coming back and playing again, it's incredible.
Absolutely. I admire him so much, but I just think he cannot go on anymore.
Yeah.
All right. And now that takes us to some more Titans free agency and draft predictions.
So, I'm wondering who we should pick up. I'm wondering who's going to be in the budget. We're probably going to have to cut some guys.
Yeah.
You know, I got some candidates that I've thought up of who we should cut. And I'm going to go through three of them. My first one, Adam Humphries. He's not been the person that we signed him for. And ever since getting drilled by that Cincinnati guy who wasn't a freaking penalty, I don't think he's been the same since then. And I don't know if he'll ever be again.
I agree with you on that one. I did not like the signing when we originally got him. I thought it was like a panic thing that we did. So I'd be glad if we got rid of him. He did some good things, but I just don't think it was worth it.
And another one is, I know people aren't going to agree with this, but I think our second one should be Ben Jones. Ben Jones, he's a fan favorite, but he's on the last year of his contract. He's going to be 32 next season. And I think we can pick up another good center probably in like the later rounds. So I think to save some money, I think controversially, cutting Ben Jones would be a good option.
I mean, he's been a cornerstone for our team for the past couple of years, so I don't know. I don't know.
He is, but you gotta make these tough decisions.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's the right thing to do, though.
Yeah. I'm still on the fence about it, but that's just what I think.
Yeah.
And a third player to cut, I'm gonna have to go with Adoree Jackson. You know, he's been okay, but he hasn't been the first round pick that we wanted him to be. And being hurt for most of this year, even when he did come back, he was still getting toasted. So I don't think we need to bring him back. I think we can save some money by not bringing him back too.
Yeah.
Now, one person that people are saying we should cut, but I don't think we should, Malcolm Butler. I say keep him around. I know he's getting older, but he's our only reliable corner. I mean, Adoree, can't count on him. Fulton, can't count on him.
So
Desmond King, don't know if he's going to be here.
if he's our most reliable corner, why would you want to cut him?
Because people think he's going to be 31 next season, and he's making a cap hit that we could save.
Well, obviously, you could say that for most players, but I just don't see that being a very notable move that we should make.
Yeah. That's just my opinion on it, though.
Yeah, I understand that, but I don't know. I just don't agree with it.
Yeah. So, last but not least, I got some quiz questions for you. So, this is from recently from this year. Who is the only team to run out of quarterbacks for an NFL game?
In this past season.
Yes. They had to start someone who wasn't a quarterback because they didn't have any left.
Oh. I had him on my. It was a receiver, right? And I had this guy on my fantasy team because I thought he was gonna do something.
He had one completion the whole game?
Yeah, and he had like an interception too. So was he on the? I want to say the Bears.
I was asking the team. No, it was not the Bears. It was the Broncos. Because Jeff Driscoll contracted COVID, and he gave it to the other three quarterbacks they had between Blake Bortles and Drew Lock and Brett Ripien.
Yeah.
So they had no quarterbacks, and sign any because they couldn't put it in through protocol.
Yeah.
So my second question is in Brett Favre's last game as a Packer. This was the NFC Championship. What team picked him off and got a pick six to win the game and ended up playing in the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots?
The Giants.
That is correct. It is the Giants. Now, finally, who is the Nashville Predators' all-time leader in shutouts?
I'm going to go on a giant limb here and say Pecorine.
You got it.
All right.
God, it's probably the cornerstone of this whole franchise.
Absolutely. And that will wrap up our third podcast, folks. Until next time, I'm Ramen.
And I'm Alex.
We'll see you.